for the union. They are going to be having their first meeting next week. There's a link to the sign up in the agenda. Also, everyone will have got a welcome back email from us this week as well with sign up. So off to our lovely president of the union, Sharina.
Hey everyone, really great to see you all. It's fine. Really good to see everyone. Thanks for having us here. So as Joe was saying, yes, all grad student board
Lower the volume so you just sort it out. 1 second.
So yes, when you come to Brown as a master or a PhD student, part of your obligation and part of your time here at Brown is going to be most likely spent working in some capacity as a teaching assistant, as a research assistant, as a proctor, as a teaching fellow. A lot of grads select to design their own courses, and in 2018. Grads at Brown democratically voted and chose to unionize, and in 2020 we fought for and won our first contract, which was the first time we had actually on paper protected rights for everything has to do with our working conditions. So protection around working hours, protection around discrimination, harassment, guaranteed around our health care, guaranteed around different leave policies we have. And so now, 3 years later, that contract is to expire, which means because we unionized, we are going to go to the table with Brown administrators again and negotiate over everything for their working conditions, which is a really important moment for us as graduates. And really pivotal because all of the things I just mentioned, like healthcare, wages, working,
are going to be on the table again, and we have the opportunity to fight for better. So we're here today to talk to you about what it means to have a union, and it's not like there's 20 grads who are like your reps and are going to go and win things for you. Like, a union is not a service. A union is its members. So everything, and Victoria, who is one of our co-chairs of the bargaining committee, so one of the people who's been doing a lot of work and researching other grad union contracts. Yeah, and Victoria will speak a little bit more to the specifics of that whole process of getting ready to bargain as a bargaining committee member. But me as your president, I want to talk to you about what organizing and collective action means, and the fact that the grads who go to the table, Olivia's been on the bargaining committee before as well, when we had our wage reopener, we are only going to win what we fight for. Okay, so this whole process, everything we're gearing up for, our bargaining committee, these are Brown grad students. These folks know how to put a proposal together. They know how to make good and smart arguments. And I feel really confident in the team of grads who are going to do that they're going to be really strong. Brown has every ability to look at that proposal and just say no, right? So how do we actually win on those proposals? How do we say to Brown that the work that we do matters, and without the work that we do, Brown wouldn't work? If Brown didn't have TAs and RAs, there'd be no university, right? Our work matters, and we deserve to be fairly compensated for it. We deserve to be safe at work. We deserve equity. We deserve justice. But we have to fight for those things. So we're looking to members and asking, what are you willing to do for yourself, for your integrity as a grad worker here, for your colleagues, for the future of higher ed labor? I don't know if folks have been checked into this, but the entire UC system went on strike a few months ago. That is the biggest higher ed strike in history. At NYU, the adjuncts and contingent instructors went on the longest adjunct and contingent labor strike in history. It is a very exciting moment, and we are trying to gain on that momentum and prove to Brown that we are very serious about what we deserve, about a living wage, about making Brown a more safe, equitable place for all of us to work. So, as Joe mentioned, please come to your union's general body meeting next week, February 7th at 6 p.m. at the First Unitarian Church. We're going to have a social afterwards, so you can get to know each other a little bit more. But my job here tonight is just to galvanize you and let you know we're going to go as far as you're willing to go, right? The group of like organizers and stewards in your workplace are doing a lot of like leadership work on this, but we need our members engaged in this process. We need strength in numbers. We need to show up. Right now, Brown is fighting us on open bargaining. Last year, during the wage reopener, when we won an 18.9% raise for grads in humanities and a 14% raise for grads in STEM, the difference is just because we won pay parity. So grads in humanities weren't making the same wages over the summer. So that's why it's a bit higher, because we got pay parity in the summer. So now that our stipends are all equal across the board, we got that groundbreaking, precedent-setting raise because grads showed up every week and fought for it. So we need to keep that spirit and keep fighting. And we hope to see you at the GMN, and we hope to see you at the first day of bargaining, because we're fighting for open bargaining, because we believe that everybody who is going to be impacted by this contract deserves to be in the room when we're negotiating with Brown over all of the different articles about healthcare, wages, support for grad parents, better support for international grads, everything that's in there. But I'm going to pass it to Victoria now to talk a bit more about what the bargaining committee's been doing and where we're at.
Thank you. I'm going to refer to my notebook. I want to draw on what everyone has done. So the bargaining committee is just made up of grads like yourselves from many fields, different experiences, and representing departments with very different cultures. And the kind of the work that we do every meeting is just going through our contract. So we had a survey that grad students, a lot of them took, and maybe actually you took, and we are reading kind of the results, trying to see what are the main issues, what are students struggling with, and like where in the contract are we missing support for that. We're also looking at other graduate contracts. There are kind of some gold standard contracts, some of the ones that are mentioned. Michigan is one that I've been reading a lot, because there's a lot of support there that is lacking in our contract. And so we're using those two as kind of our guide to what needs to change in our contract. One thing, for example, is vision care. That's a common thing that was that we see in a lot of the surveys, people mentioning like the need for vision care. And something that we noticed in contracts, not so much in the surveys, is that some contracts have job security sections where it makes it really difficult for universities to outright fire students and to use academic language to say, this is the reason why we're firing you, when really it could be discrimination and a whole slew of things. And so we're trying to strengthen our contracts so that it's very difficult to fire us. You need to do appeals, you need to do a whole process, because we're important, the work we're doing is important, and we want the contract to reflect that. Yeah, and I think right now we're just in the point where we're trying to finalize what our platform will be. But by the meeting, I think we'll have a really strong kind of set of the main things that we want to prioritize. We went article by article, so there's a lot of kind of small details that together I think make a really great picture of what our contract could be. And so we hope that you'll be there for the meeting, you'll hear about this, and you'll share, because there'll be like breakout groups and discussion to kind of talk about some of these sections, to talk about what changes do we want for healthcare, for stipends, why do we want these changes, and how could they make the life of a grad worker better, which it should be. And also, I think, I don't know the details of this, but the International Student Committee is relaunching. And so we would love international students to be a part of this and to share your experiences. We were just talking about taxes, and that process was one of the main issues on the survey as well, as being really difficult. So if you are an international student, or if you know international students who would like to be a part of that, please share it with them. It's really important to have their voice in that. Yeah, I think that's the main thing that the bargaining committee does. And yeah, we hope that you'll come to the meeting, and if you want to come to bargaining committee meetings too, we'd love to have you there too, to share your opinion on what can be changed. Thank you.
Are there any questions in the room? Can you just say one more time the dates of the meeting about the bargaining?
Yeah, the general meeting is February 7th, and the bargaining committee currently meets Tuesdays at 3 p.m. And there's a Zoom meeting, but also in person at the Grow office. Thank you.
I understand the question here, which is, can look like you're a public but one thing that's not very clear, maybe people from the meeting outside is what rights to
Yeah, I mean, we are very far from the moment of striking. So, you know, that is the biggest and scariest tool in our toolbox. If we get to a point where we ask all of the grads who are working at Brown if we want to strike, because it will be a vote that everyone has to decide on. And you don't strike unless you have a super majority support, right? No one wants to strike that's going to lose. So if we get to the point that Brown is unwilling to move at the table and our bargaining committee is they are not moving, are not budging, and it's unacceptable, and we need to talk to members about that, there will be many forms of communication and access and conversations, one-on-one, information that will go out about what that means and what it takes. But just because you brought the question up about international students and rights around a union, it is your right, even if you're an international student, to be in your union. I think there's a lot of fear politics about that, because being I'm an international student, I'm the president of the union, and that you'll see me on the picket line if we get to that. But you have every right to be in your union, and we would have a winning and legal strike if we got to that point. And it's illegal for Brown to retaliate against anyone for involvement in the union. That's not to say that Brown doesn't try and retaliate against people. And that's where the strength in numbers comes, right? Actually, today we had a meeting with a couple administrators, and we were our members, when we ratified our constitution earlier this year, we included a clause about a commitment to open bargaining, because we know that grads value transparency and democracy in the union. That is why we unionize, so that everyone has a say, no one is left behind. And they said, we don't know if we need open bargaining, we can just have closed door meetings with a few grads. And, bargaining is not a spectacle. And how do we know that grads are going to behave in the room, just for condescending? And we pushed back and we said, our members care about this. Our members, every single grad worker here deserves to be in the room when these massive decisions, questions around our livelihood and what kind of healthcare we're going to have, everyone deserves to be there if you want to be there. And they said, well, and it's not confirmed yet, because they're we have to go back to our whatever administrative bullshit. But they said, well, we can't stop you. And that is a powerful union. I felt so proud of where we've come, that they were we probably can't stop you. No, you can't. Not when we stand together, we're stronger. So sorry that was long. Does that answer your question?
Non-member, and they will not the survey, they are getting emails, not up to our meetings with people that we represent, but we're not producing.
Fighting for open bargaining will be open to all grad workers. You have to sign up to get emails from us. So we don't really. Sure, and just a word on that as well. If you are a non-member, but you care about these issues and you want to have a say in what decisions are made about your work and livelihood, the first step is becoming a union member. Our meetings, all of our leadership roles, they're close to members because how do we demonstrate to Brown that we are a collective force? We show them our numbers, right? So if you are not a member, then you're not really making the first step to solidarity, to being in your union. When you work at Brown, no matter what, your union will represent you, but if you want to have a say, you've got to be contributing to the cause.
Also within your departments, you'll have known members as well as wardens. Reach out to them. They are doing an exceptional job. It is so important to make sure that we turn up. Our contracts depend on it. So everyone needs to really get involved if you feel comfortable doing so and make sure that you voice your concerns. But thank you so much both for coming as usual. Thank you very much. Okay, as it's the first meeting of the semester, if you could please share the budget that's linked here. We now move to look at the budget, and our treasurer, Sophia Berber, will walk through the spring 2021, which is the white column there. She'll walk through the allocation of where the money's from, what it's being spent on, and then we'll vote to approve, and then after that we move on to the use of reserve funds.
Hi, everyone. Let's look at the proposed budget. Every semester we do that, and I will propose some numbers, and then we expect you to take part and help us make the right decision and improve it. Luckily this semester we have more money. I'd like to take some time to explain where money comes from, because apparently not everyone knows where it comes from. So can you hear me? Okay. So basically, every semester you pay the student activity fee, which is $75, right? And out of these $75, that amount was increased the beginning of the academic year. We have 40, and the 35 goes to the Nelson Center. So this semester, thanks to the increase, we have more money. Also, the student body increased. Now we have 2,850 students, graduate students, and that's great. So I'll walk you through the main categories that we usually propose and see what we propose, what changed and why. So the first category is large social. Since we're now out of the pandemic, we're going back to the pre-pandemic model. There is more demand for social events, and our socials that we organize are largely attended, and it's a huge, chunk of community building in Brown. As you can see, we propose 45,000 as opposed to 27 last spring. Student life also sees an increase, mostly coming to food pantry, maintaining this lounge, and also we're starting the program for resident parents. That's also going to come up student life money. Food insecurity. We no longer pay out of our money for the food insecurity out of our budget. It's going to come from the savings, and we're going to vote on that tonight. Tonight, right? Okay. And that's the last time we basically are doing it. And we propose to take 15,000 out of our savings, which are at this point around 250, and use it towards the food insecurity. GCP, we only pay in the fall, so it's zero this semester. GCP meetings are, again, thanks to the fact that the pandemic is almost gone, they are more attended, more people, and we increase the budget. Budgeting 4,000 for that. Orientation came as only in the first semester, in the fall semester. So we're not going to spend any money on that. Executive board meeting and committee meetings. We also propose to increase funds for that, since we have more people on the committees. Now, and today we actually are going to talk about again filling in the GSC committees. Conference fund, that's one of the biggest expenses for us, and that is really in demand. Last semester, 8 people applied. This semester, we anticipate even more people since we have 2 rounds of application for the spring and for the summer. And for this reason, we propose to almost double, even more than double, the fund for the conference and professional development. 28, legal fees, no legal fees in the spring, all paid in the fall. And have committee, something that comes out of the blue. Suggest to increase that expense. Master's advocacy, so the number of master students increased almost double. So the expenses for the master's advocacy committee also rise. So we propose to increase them up to 4,000. International advocacy, same thing. This year we have 40% international students. Usually it's slightly less, but because of the pandemic, a lot of people deferred, and this year they came to ground finally, so it's more this year. Mini grants, this no longer exists. A recognized group, again, we anticipate more applications for the recognized group funding. I forgot the exact number of the groups. 19, 19, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and on that note, I'll skip to the internal event funding. Same situation. We anticipate more requests for the internal event funding. Okay. Yeah, basically that's it. The contingency and savings usually stay the same. Yeah, and the total of 114,000. So how do we proceed? Do we, yeah, we'll take action. Okay. If we know that we have money. Any more questions, suggestions?
So if you are voting to approve the budget, please put your hand up now. If you are a rep online, please use the raise hand function and keep them up so we can count. Okay. Those against the budget? Raise your hand. That's everything. Hands down, please. Those abstaining from voting on the budget? Fantastic. The budget has approved. Just the next thing is obviously we do have savings, and because we're moving to a position, and we'll talk about it later, of using the savings and have done this entire academic year. The next proposal is to use $15,000 from our savings. We have about 248,000 in savings to fund the food program, which serves about 120 graduate students throughout the semester. Are there any questions about the use of the 15,000? 15,000, yeah. 15. I do have a terrible accent. I do apologize. I know that's like Sharina, a foreigner's head of the union. I'm the head of GSC. We're coming and taking your jobs. You should all be frightened. So can I have a question? So we'll talk about this later when it comes under the VP presidency on where we are with food insecurity. So as of last spring, the graduate school, the president's office, the provost office pulled all financial support for the food program. As such, it meant that we've been using our savings ever since. We are still advocating, we're still working for it, but they are not giving any room at all. So we are not in a financial position because especially during the fall, we have a lot more extra costs. And they are literally using the line of, you've had a 14 to 18% pay rise, you don't need it. So that's what we're going to talk about a bit later, because we're going to explain why and how we're going to try and take the fight to them. And this is why some of the information we're coming up is quite important. But at the moment, we're making sure that we can ride out the semester, make sure everyone who needs food gets food. There's been a sign up, there's a sign up here as well. There's been the general emails. We will fund as much and as many people as we can. So that's what the 15,000 for. No, because the difficulty is that when it came back to the original scheme that we had more people. The cost was 30 to 40,000 a semester, and the maximum it helped was 112. So it's not about the funding, it's for us. Because what happened was the grad school would pay half, then the provost and president's office would pay 30%, which meant it was affordable for us. Whereas now we've changed the structure in terms of what we can offer, whereas beforehand it was completely free. Now it's $80 for the entire semester, which is still 12 boxes of food, $80, which is as cheap as it can go. That's what we've done, effectively. But we'll talk about this in more detail about where we are in advocacy with this. But now can I have a vote to approve the use of $15,000 for the savings? Yeah, okay, if you're for that, please put your hand in the air. Sorry, I'm not doing it procedurally. Those against? Okay, motion passes. Okay, so we're going to go, thank you very much, everyone. We're going to move back onto the actual agenda now. So the next thing is, just like the union, we run on volunteer work. And we have quite a few internal committees, so I'm going to head over to each head of the committees, the first one being nominations. There is a sign-up sheet on the agenda, or you've got to put your email and name by the committee that you want to do. We cannot give you money, but we try and give you food and refreshment whenever we can, which is as much as we can. So over to nominations.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kim. I'm chair of nominations. Nominations, we're in charge of recruiting, selecting grad students into university committee, like library committee. You might got email like 2 weeks ago about Dean of Graduate School Search Committee. So that's also what we're working on. And mostly it will be, I get applications out and then people apply and then I send you emails and then you read through it and then vote who you think would be good to represent graduate students. And we also review recognized groups. So if you, we read through the applications and if you want to apply for that, you get funding from GSC, $500 a semester. If you get recognized by GSC, you can find that information on the website. And then in the spring, we get to pick who would be the speakers for the commencement, both masters and PhD. So it's really fun. You get to listen to like 30 speech and it's awesome. And then if you have any question, you can email me at GSC_nominations@brown.edu. And it's not
a big time commitment mainly through emails, but when we do the interview or if we have like something to meet in person, we'll provide food. So please sign up. Thank you.
Finance committee, do your spiel, get people to sign up.
Finance committee, you get to decide who gets the money, who doesn't. That's a lot of power. Sign up. For the amount of work we do, it's actually really not demanding at all. So like what we do, we work on approving applications for the internal event, recognized groups, and the conference travel fund. That's probably the most amount of work that the travel fund, conference travel fund, when you have to actually sit down and do the scoring. You have a scoring system. And that's pretty much it. We usually meet once or twice per semester to just discuss that and vote on the results of the scoring. So, yeah, if you want to know how the budget works and how on the inside, so I really recommend that.
Hi, I'm Olivia. I'm one of two of your social chairs. That's Remy, the other one. So basically, if you join the social committee, we are not asking for a huge time commitment. Maybe 1 or 2 one-hour meetings a semester, and then we just hope that you will also come to the events and do some volunteering with the check-in or something else like that. And it's a really good way to get involved and like have your say in some of the specifics of the events, help us with themes, with decorations, food choices, etc. It's a really good time and you get to see the results in your community. So it's cute. Thanks.
Hi, everybody. Abdullah, Chair of Student Life. So for the Student Life Committee, I work on a bunch of different things that range from small events that can be the spring Latin night that I'm hosting in about a month, to an activities fair that I'm going to do in collaboration with CAPS and a bunch of other DWell departments within Brown. But then also I'm in conversations with a few different departments. So like CAPS, and then more recently the School of Professional Studies to help with the food pantry. So I'm looking for committee members, really for any of the specific topics that you're interested in being a part of. I definitely would not expect that everyone join in on every single endeavor of this position. But if there's something you feel passionate about and you want to find a way to help out, I definitely can use all the hands that I can get. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Ray. I am the chair of Masters Advocacy on the GSC, and I would like some people to join my committee because I have some big plans this semester. I'm going to need help with a bunch of events. I've been collaborating a lot with SPS to pour funds and resources together. And I think last semester we've thrown some really high quality events that students have really liked. So definitely going to be doing a lot more of that this semester. And I'm only one person. Like there were a couple people at SPS I worked with who definitely use some more hands just to help out with that. And the other part of my job is advocacy. So I get to meet with the deans of the School of Professional Studies that basically encompasses all master's students except MFAs. And I get just to have a direct line with them and be able to voice any concerns or advocate for different issues that affect master's students specifically. And just been trying to, like, one thing I'm trying to do right now is just kind of push on defining exactly what SPS is, because a lot of people don't know, and even administratively there is some confusion. So of course it's easier to do kind of establish stuff when something is being built and just to try and renegotiate things when things are already set in place. So it's important that they know what master's students need, and as they're establishing all their new policies and new positions like support students, that they know like how best to accommodate us and support us without being too patriarchal, what's the word? Authoritative. Shush.
Hello, everybody. This is Ramisa Fariha. I am your International Advocacy Chair. If you would like to work with me, you get to work on fun stuff such as grad night at the Globe, which I'm working with the Global Brown Center with. I'll also be collaborating, so I do a lot of advocacy work with the grad school, basically to help make your international experience at Brown a better, positive, super fantastic one. I'm also in charge of organizing the tax workshops and your one-on-one appointments with the tax attorney. And that applies whether or not you're a resident for tax purposes or not. So there's like some important work stuff. There's also kind of like fun event things that I organize. And of course, I'm by myself, so I can always use more people to make my life easier. So thank you very much.
Super. So it's at 5.1 on the agenda right there. It's just a sign-up sheet, get people involved. There's also on the sign-up sheet itself another brief description, how many hours as well. It's for the CV. It makes it looks like you're helping out. Comms as well. Sorry, I totally forgot about another committee, which is comms.
Thank you. Yes, that's my job in Library Cover Committee. So we do in Com Committee two major things we're focusing this semester. So we're going to continue working with hygiene products, which we have 4 people in the committee. We're almost finalizing it. So probably, hopefully will be done by the end of summer. And then the second thing we're starting to focus on is transportation, which Joe is going to talk more about. That will be a lot of work, doing a lot of surveys and then figuring out what classrooms needs are. And then we're going to work on some diversity and inclusion stuff as well. That is also coming up once the hygiene slows down. So those are the main things we are going to be focusing on Com Committee. And as similar to international and master scholars, you don't have to focus on everything. If you're passionate about something specifically, or if you have new ideas, please connect with any of us or come to me and we can discuss and then put you in the right committee. Thank you, Joe.
Back to karaoke time. So like I say, at the first top, it's sign up there. It has all the information. Some can be 1 or 2 hours a month, one could be 1 hour, one could be a 1 semester. Quite often it's just over Zoom, but whenever we can, we try and make sure we get food, so whether it's being delivered to one specific place. It looks good for that CV. So updates from the executive board. So like I say, we are in a very difficult position with the food program. That comes from the fact that during the first 3 semesters, /4 if you count the summer, because of the fact that we weren't doing our normal programming or normal advocacy, we had a lot more funds. And also the grad school deemed that we were still in a pandemic. The grad school now believes we are not. So they see that they've got reduced funds themselves because programming's gone back to normal for them in terms of the support for conferences and professional development. It's an argument they're making and why they're not actively funding this. But it also comes down to the successes of the union in terms of the near 19% for humanities, the 15% for the sciences. Because there is actually a very good fund as part of the grad school, which is linked on 6.1.3, which is called the EGAP funds. In the EGAP funds, there are 3 different ways of getting help, either financially, up to $500 for a one-off unexpected occurrence, up to $500 loan that you pay back with no interest. And there is also a meal gap program as well through Dean Suarez or Alicia Pola if you are a master's student. In the language, it is theoretical that you can only apply once throughout your time. That is not the case. We are changing that language. We are getting them to change that language. If it is the case that you are in financial hardship, if you are facing food insecurity, anything like that, you talk to the grad school, you talk to us. It is our job to make sure that you are listened to and you are looked after. The difficulty is that because of the funding, the number of EGAP funding and food stamps, not food stamps, the food insecurity program they have has rapidly declined. So they are looking at it as there's no such thing as a problem among grad students at Brown. We recognise the language on the website puts people off applying, and there's also a lot of people might have a stigma or some sort of insecurity themselves about using these programs. That is why we always make sure every single part of our communications with you has this information. And if you have trouble accessing it, you just email anybody on the board and we will make sure you get access. Because if the university is using its favorite thing of believing statistics, and even I understand that that's not bad, and I'm not in maths, the reality is that we have to make sure that they are aware of people facing insecurity. You talk to us, and if it becomes a bigger issue, then we talk to the union as well. So that's the position that we're at. We're trying to make sure that things are actually representative and that they're not just using their sort of not very representative statistics to say no to us. So that's why it's sort of at the moment, we're going to continue to the end of the semester. And then if there are emergency positions throughout the summer or in the fall, we are going to be there and making sure that everyone is listened to and everyone is accommodated for. And it's sort of, we've tried, it's going to be a bit of a stop for, but the reality is that this is what we've got to do to try and put pressure back onto the grad school. Is that clear with everybody? Okay. So the next one, new provost. So we have a new provost. Yet to meet him. He was former dean of engineering at Harvard. So it's very obvious where Brown is going to go in the next couple of years in terms of the expansion of its master's programs and its engineering. So things are going to change. Top of the list of between the GSE and the provost and the president is in terms of the use of space, the fact that we still don't have space, how we're going to allocate housing resources, and how we're actually going to integrate the graduate community better into campus, because we are now 1 in 3 of the students here on campus at Brown. Any questions on the new provost? Okay. So we're currently in a position of looking for a new dean of the graduate school, head committee top dean. When we have a committee formed, King will do her fantastic job, and you can go to listening sessions and have your say. This is also the same hopefully for the CAPS, grad specific counsellor. They're still in the process, and Abdullah is in liaison with CAPS to make sure that we do not lose any of our specific CAPS counsellors. We have managed to convince the graduate school to update its conference and professional development funds that are available for new funders. Thank you, all the other IDs who are rich, because when we go, the other IDs have it and we don't. That's how it works. And the grad school is also going to be operating a transport task force, and Farnell is going to be port for that semester, this semester on that, looking at improving, improving shuttle access as well as parking and potentially piloting an MBTA pass as well. Any questions on any of those updates?
There was a question that came up. One of the students asking me is that when you're looking at the CAPS or the new dean of grad school, how are all the students represented? As in, like, are representing all the minorities and student of color together when you're thinking about putting people in the community? Are they going to be feasible to looking at needs of everyone else, or like basically how diverse are the community?
We do not have the power to appoint, but we give names for recommendations. So if you don't sign up, you're not represented. It's as simple as that. But then this also is a wider question in terms of intersectionality. 43% of the graduate population is international. How do we account for that as well? So we sort of just have to go on a faith basis that as an active member of the community, you want to do best by your colleagues and your friends. That's what we go on. Super. Over to nominations again.
Hi again. So for Dean of Graduate School for committee, we did review the applications if you apply, and we sent the names to the graduate school, and they reviewed that, and then we'll get back to you if they go through that and then make another selection from the list that we sent to them. And then for committee, university committee, right now we don't have any that we need right now, but normally it will be on the GSC website. So if you look at the website, you can find that in the university committees tab. And then that's also with recognized groups. If you want to apply, you can go to that and then see the list of what you have to do. It's not hard at all. And if you follow that, you will get approved from us. Also, I will be sending out
application for commencement speakers this month if you want to apply, if you graduating this semester, and then we'll do like interview mid-March. So if you graduating this semester and wanna keep look out for that, and then also the 2 staff awards that happening at commencement as well. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Any questions, norms? Questions for norms? No?
Okay, so I'd like to talk more about the 3 things to do this semester. Like always, there is a conference and professional development travel fund. I just want to emphasize that it's not just conference travel, it's also professional development. So any projects that are related to your professional development and require travel, you can apply for that fund. You can also apply if you are not presenting at the conference. It's just depending on the amount of applicants. We'll prioritize people who present, but we don't work on the rolling basis. We wait until everyone applies and then we go through the scoring process. So there's a chance that you still get funding and can go to the conference even if you're not presenting. Also, very important, this semester we're going to have 2 rounds of application. So the first thing to remember that every registered student can apply and get a funding one time. However, we have 2 rounds because some of the conferences happen in the spring. And if we, let's say, we're opening this conference fund today, right? It's February 1st, February 28th, first round. Usually, grad students who travel in the summer, they don't have confirmations that they're gonna present yet, or acceptance forms, or sometimes they don't even know that they're gonna go. So for that purpose, we will have another round of applications in the middle of April till basically 2 last weeks of April for the summer period. But you can only apply once, either for spring or for the summer, for the amount of money up to $300. So I know that it might be confusing. That's why we're doing this trial, version of spring funding with 2 rounds of application. We'll see what's going to happen. But so far it seems the most efficient way to get funding for everyone, right? It opens today, like I said. The first round is February 1st to February 28th, and that's for the spring semester, starting January 15th and up to May 31st. Okay, any questions about conference travel fund? No? Internal event. Internal event is important because everyone can apply. So I really want to emphasize it again that not just recognized group, any graduate students who are organizing an event on campus or online for the ground community can apply. It can be a conference, it can be any academic event, but it also can be a community building event. Like a celebration. For instance, last semester we had an application that what was it, Joe? Diwali, right? I think it was, yeah. So students who organized Diwali celebration, they applied from multiple sources. It was a big celebration, including us. So that's a good example of what can be done with that funding, right? And that's up to $400. And the last one, recognized groups. Recognized groups We have 19, as we already said today, and that's up to $500 for the needs of the recognized groups. However, recognized groups can also apply for the internal event fund. So if you are a member or the head of the recognized group here at Brown, you should know that you can apply for both, basically. The difference is that you apply for the recognized group fund as a group, and the funding goes to your SAO account directly, whereas for the internal event, you apply as an individual, and then the reimbursement, it works on the reimbursement basis, right? You submit receipts, and then the reimbursement goes to your personal account at Brown. So that's the only difference, but you can apply for both if you are if you present recognized. And yeah, we encourage you to apply, because like I said in the beginning, it comes from our money, from the fee that we pay in the beginning of the semester, and yeah, that's what it's for, right? Any questions about these two funds? No? Yeah, that's it for me, I guess.
Hello. So coming up, we have our spring welcome back social. Everyone be ready for next week, Thursday, February 9th. We're having it at Free Play. It's gonna be super fun. So be there or be spare. We are taking RSVPs, but it is all grad students will be admitted. So it'll be really fun. Then make sure to bring your Brown ID, because we will be checking that you are a grad student. And it's a 21 plus event, so bring your state and or international ID. And if you bring a guest, they just need to bring an ID for the 21 plus check. We will have the upstairs that will have snacks just for Brown students, but there will be other people like mingling around in the game section. But it'll be fun. We also are in talks with Narragansett Brewery down at India Point Park to set up like a monthly Brown grad student event. And we like to get some feedback about what would be the best option. One thing is a dedicated table or two for trivia, for the Monday night trivias, or we could just have like a space reserved for us, if that's more fun. So any thoughts on that? Let us know now and or later. And then the last thing is that we are trying to do a field day sort of closer towards the end of the semester, but an outdoor event, not only for grad students, but also grad students with kids. So if you have like cool field day activities, let us know. We'll make sure to have that as an option. Oh, and we'll have a spring formal, but stay tuned for that. And if you want to plan it, join our committee.
Hello everyone, I'm back again. So first of all, tax season, Brown for International is switching over to spring tax this year. So if you are well aware of Glacier is going, and like Sonia said earlier today, that you will all be receiving the link to use spring tax application as soon as Brown receives it. They always get delayed by the company itself. And that said, we are actually right now in the process of organizing a mandatory tax workshop. So this will be with the attorney, the CPA, who is in charge, who has worked with international students previously. And basically the reason why it's mandated is he's most likely going to answer most of your like general queries in this workshop. And if you do have questions after that you would need, there are definitely special pieces. If you need to schedule one-on-one with him, you can, but in order to be eligible to get those one-on-one appointments, you have to attend the workshop. I'm actually waiting to hear back from the CPA right now, and as soon as I hear back, we'll all get the information on when it's happening and how it's happening. It's most likely going to be via Zoom. And sign up is definitely important. And of course, I've talked to the global offices, and we will be having dedicated days for graduate students to meet the CPA, which is another important thing. So we are not running into any of the undergrads, or so the CPA themselves are aware of it ahead of time what problems they might go with. And also they have requested us to start kind of the text process by ourselves. So we know what kind of questions we might be getting ahead of time, but again, you'll know more about it at the workshop. Next one I have is the Global Brown Center for International Students. In case you all didn't know, GBC finally, like all of our community centers, finally they have a grad coordinator, and they, it's a lot of work and advocacy was done in order to give this coordinator the same respect and payment as the other center coordinators. Her name is Goldie. She's amazing. You can RSVP to meet her. She, I think, is hosting an open hour at some point. And also, besides this lounge, the Global Brown Center, the Globe, what it's known as, is a space for graduate international students that you can go. It's at the center of campus that you can utilize. And so I'm actually working with the center director to make it more international grad student friendly. So if you have suggestions of what things that might make it feel more suitable for a graduate international students, please email me. And also I'm taking suggestions as to what types of events international grad students might like, besides our usual, wine and dine and relaxing ones. So please feel free to let me know. And speaking of events, the first one, it's part of a series called Grad Night at the Globe. So basically all grad international students will be celebrating their time at this Global Brown Lounge. And the first one is called Unmasking Yourself, which is pretty funny because you will be there with wine and food, and you will be painting masks. So it's kind of like, instead of painting a canvas, you'll have this empty mask and you can paint it to express yourself, because we all put up a face, we all mask ourselves every day. So why not? And please answer. Thank you so much.
Any questions after?
Yes, my friend.
Just in the mandatory, he says, that's 7 years back about federal
Great question. So Sprint tax is for federal and state, and by mandatory, it means the workshop itself is mandatory, because there are a lot of questions that can be answered at that very workshop.
Because the feedback is a lot of people come and ask questions, which are probably so that makes
They're smart kids, we can show up and just follow the information that they can send. No problem. Other questions? Cool.
All right, hi, everyone. So overview for this semester, I have a few events in mind. The one that's coming up the soonest is the Spring Latin Night, which is planned for March 3rd from 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. So come by, learn how to dance, do some dancing, drink some drinks, have some snacks. The STEAM room is going to happen again this year. It was a smashing success last year, and we're going to try and get more art submissions. So come by for that. We're aiming for April, late April, early May. Another event that we're going to do in collaboration with the social chair and then also the chair of Master's Advocacy is an activities day. Oh, I skipped one. Activities day with CAPS et al. Also planning for late May so that the weather is nice. But then, one of the big things that I want to do with the increase in my budget this semester is put together an event specifically for graduate students who have kids. They have a very unique set of needs. In particular, they can only usually have events that are outside and during the day because of COVID restrictions with kids. Like they can't get vaccinated before a certain age, et cetera, et cetera. And so those are the few things that I have planned for this semester. Some other general updates, lost my spot. The food pantry is something that I've been working on, and with the new stipend increase, it's turning out that food insecurity is actually starting to affect master's students a lot more than PhD students. And so one of the things that I've been doing is collaborating with the School of Professional Studies to try and gauge the need for food pantry and more food resources specifically for master's students. And the other thing something that I've been working on since I became chair of student life is just trying to revamp the graduate student lounge. I have several ideas in mind. The hope actually is that by the summer, put together some sort of a proposal for several larger scale renovations to the space, such as adding more spots for storage, and then ideally something like having built-in microphones and speakers into the walls, as opposed to having microphones that we move around the space and cameras that we have to hand movement. So that's it for me. Any questions?
Hello, so I'll start off with social events, because tomorrow I have a welcome back social at GCB. It's going to be from 5 to 7 p.m. and I'm going to give 2 free drink tickets to the first 75 people or 75 master students, to clarify, that show up. I do have an RSVP form just for headcount purposes. That does not guarantee that you get a ticket. It's just, again, for headcount purposes. Stay tuned for an alternate family friendly event later this month, because I wanted to give an alternative for people who do not wish to consume alcohol or who happen to be under 21. And just make sure to bring your state or government issued ID because it's a 21 plus event, so you'll need that to get in. And then one thing I'm planning with SDS is an end of the year celebration. It's going to be at the Guild PBB Beer Garden, the same place where I had that awesome welcome back social in September. And it's going to be, right now we have it booked for May 12th from 4 to 6 p.m. And just stay tuned for more details. We're trying to make this a really awesome event, so I'm really excited for it. And then last semester I mentioned discussion panels, which might serve as resources for students. One was going to be on LGBT representation in medicine, and the other was a suggestion by Mel based on student feedback on how to do LGBT research at Brown. So stay tuned for those, because they're trying to organize those right now. And then one thing I wanted to mention is just clarifying the role in kind of brand SDS, since a lot of people don't know exactly what the School of Professional Studies is. And frankly, even the administration doesn't quite know who is supposed to do what. So I only have a limited amount of clarity on that, but it's an ongoing conversation. And if you join my committee, you can be a part of those conversations I meet with the School of Professional Studies teams every month, and I bring it up each and every time. And then one thing I can provide, as Joe mentioned earlier, Dean Alicia LaPaula is one of the assistant deans for students, and she's within the School of Professional Studies, and her role is specifically for master students, except MFAs. If you have need for support, including food insecurity, emergency funding, please email Alicia. She can arrange a meeting, and she'd be more than happy to help you. She's a very nice person. I love working with her. But does anyone have any questions? Okay, well, that's all from me.
All right. A few updates. Thank you everyone for first of all replying to all those excruciating emails and surveys to check in. Sorry, there might be some confusion, but thank you all for working with me on that. Just remind, I know I remind every time, but when you come in or if you're on Zoom, just write your name and department or check in with me. So we know you're attending, and then it's a good way to make sure that the information we're sharing are getting to the students, the student body you represent. Because you do play a vital role in decision making in school, your decision really does matter. Like you're coming here, taking notes, asking questions, really very important things. So please continue doing that to present everyone. So Ms. Dunn, if you can click on the link. So we have a resource poster we shared with everyone in the past. So I know I sent it out last time with the GBM minutes. The other idea we're thinking about is incorporating that in the orientation slide for the incoming students. So I kind of want to have your opinion on that. Do you think you guys would be the best person to kind of like send this poster to your DGSS or Director of Graduate Studies? Or do you want me to send it to the DGSS and CPU? We can do either one, not both. All right, perfect. So you all will get another email from me to just remind that, send it to your GDSS so they have it in the orientation. So that way, or the handbook, so everyone is starting with the same resources. And then if there are things that we're updating, we will let you guys know. We're trying to come up with the master student specific one because SPS has a lot of resources we haven't added. So we're going to work with Dre and SPS to have that when we have that done in this formatting. We will update you as well. And I do want to do a shout out to Mel, who did most of the work or design and all those, and then made it more accessible for everyone. So thank you, Mel. They're not here today, but all right. Update on hiking product. So I talked a little bit about that earlier. We are in the process of submitting the application. It's a collaboration with the Undergrad Student Council, which is the undergrad student government. So we are putting together the application. We have a lot of statements from the undergrad students as well as the Sarah Doyle Center. And we're gonna hopefully apply next week. So if you have any statement or anything for us, let us know. We're trying to get the link for the current product. There had been some roadblock and they were like in their time off. So they were on vacation. So they're made things a little difficult to get those, but hopefully you're looking at fall 2023, we will have a hygiene product in all the gendered and non-gender restrooms. But yeah, I'll update you on the link so we can get a good product and not just weird ones. Transportation, as Joe mentioned, I'm part of the Transportation Advisory Committee, and it's also one of the initiatives we're taking. As a grad student, and I also have millions of parking tickets. I always struggle to park places, shuttle frequencies, safety on the street. So these are kind of the issues that we want to work with. We'll be sending out a survey to kind of to you guys to send it to the students to figure out where should be our focus point to work on it in the beginning. So please answer to that, and then depending on the result, we'll focus on different things, and then we can talk more about what focus areas are in the next meeting. Is there any question? Online?
We're all to an end, still quicker than last year's meeting, so no one can be tired or complain. The spring priorities then that we've come up with, obviously these are totally subject to change, and if there's something that is missing that you feel we should be doing, please bring it up now or email us or talk to your reps. You are the reps. But this semester we're going to be taking a look back at the GSSI. This is the document that we share with the corporation as well as the Graduate School of Wider Administration, covering a wide variety of views. We're going to be looking to update it as well as condense it to make it a bit more manageable for everybody, so we know where we are, and particularly with big changes that happen on campus. Another key thing is financing and resources for graduate students. So it's not just about the pay, but it's about what the schools, what our departments are actually able to get us, and to get greater transparency in this. A very good example is that our department, we get our association fee paid for each year, which is $50. That's it. That's all the money they've got for. Whereas other departments, y'all are rich. So we're going to talk to the grad school about making life fairer. Graduate Student Centre, it's coming. We're just $5 million away from it. So if you want to start a crowdfund or if someone wants to give $5 million, yeah, absolutely brilliant. We've designated a building. $5 million, anybody? Right? But we're quite aware of the fact that actually on campus there are only 2 designated spaces for graduate students, here and in the library. I'm meeting the corporation next week. I'll be highlighting this in terms of what to do in the interim. This is a lovely room. I love it, but it's pretty fucking gross. It's not well maintained and it's got nothing to do with us. And if Brown's expanding masters and expanding its PhD and trying to get it up there, we need actual space. We've been shouting about this for 3 years and we're going to continue. Mental health, so we're going to make sure that we move on with CAPS, and CAPS will then, when we have the organised person, will be outside of the fitness, the wellness centre, but it will be in the grad school for the interim. We're going to try and get it to somewhere that's more neutral. Space on campus, like I just said, housing and River House. We understand there's not a lot that Brown can do about housing, but it does own River House, which is primarily for medical students, and they didn't buy the building. Not my problem. Also, the amount that it costs is not competitive, it is not subsidized. 1,200 starting price is far too much, even with our increased stipends. So we're going to try and push on that. So I'm going to track down the deans and talk to them. Transportation, Baha's going to be on point for that. And then, as we also said, we're looking at DIAC phase 3 and 4, especially as it relates to the graduate school's initiative on excellence in graduate teaching, and then the excellence program that the provost lot was launching as well, and that's going to be spearheaded by Josephine with her assistant. So it's a broad field as always, and we'll keep you updated. And if there's ever anything, just please make sure that you can shoot us an email. You see it in through. I probably won't recognise you. I'm just not good at it. But just say something, and I will say hello. And if there's anything else, please just let us know. And now it's open for is there anything that's arisen, either online or in person, that anyone wants to bring up or thinks we need to be addressing. It's not, and that's why the grad school is plain slippery. They're saying that we believe food insecurity is not having the access to the food that we want. Yeah, it's constant shifting goalposts, and in particular, what they're saying is that the number of EGAP applications has decreased in PhDs, and has only marginally increased by masters. Moreover, from the food gap program, they constantly point to the fact that there is a high number of people who get it. Well, there's a relatively high number, but the usage rate is low, without the fact of realizing that this is only used on campus. Why would a grad student go and eat with an undergraduate? They don't know where these spaces are. There might be stigma, there might be hesitancy there. We are pushing and pushing and pushing. I'm having a meeting with Josephine soon with the graduate school, and we'll talk about it, but they're pushing back. So that's why, in terms of if there's anybody you know, if it's you personally, if you hear of anything, get them to go into the EGAP straight away. And in particular, and if there's not a response, either from Alicia Poda or Dean Suarez, anyone that you recognize here, you feel comfortable talking to, you just email us. Because a lot of it is realizing that Brown works when there's a specific email in the chat. We're not here to judge, it's why we don't assess the food security for the program. And that's also used against us. They say, well, you're not assessing it. It's like, I am not assessing my colleagues and my friends and my peers over that. I think if they're signing up, there's a need. So we're in a difficult, tight spot there, but we're going to keep on pushing. And we're going to try and just keep on pushing. And obviously, The good thing is we've got a very good working relationship with the union. We are very much two sides of the same coin because we are helping with the administrative stuff, they're helping with the contract stuff. We're going to keep on pushing because it's a big thing. And when it comes up to the Brown Corporation meeting next week, I will be talking about this. I'll be talking about the fact that we still continue to need, despite there is an increase, because the cost of living crisis is crippling all of us. It's a huge, huge thing. We're not shying away from it. We're just trying to regroup so that we can actually get to something later on.
Would it be helpful if, when the department reps send out the meeting minutes to the departments, if we specifically identified the food insecurity resources in our emails, not just pointing them to the minutes?
Yeah, that would be fantastic. And so if we could scroll up to the top part of the presidency updates, it's about number 7 or something. Yeah, 6. So it's really just the 6.1 to 6.13, where you can click on the links. This is also by policy now. It is linked to every single message that is sent from the GSC president email. It's always there. The more people that sign up, the better. If you get refused or if someone gets refused or has problems, talk to us. It's our job to try and make this as transparent as possible. So it's about making sure that if they're saying, oh, no one's using it, no, people are going to use it. We're going to help people use it and make sure it is viable and accessible. Thank you, Teresa. Any questions from online before we close? Anything to the open floor?
They don't come in further and things to solve that. So this is treatment study. If all you guys are talking to the administration, you might be able to bring that up.
Are you trying to say that having broken windows isn't the norm for a Brown department? How dare you question the integrity of the departments there? Yeah, no, we brought it up, and we also particularly brought up the lack of disabled accessibility to the bread lounge. There's no loo, there's no ramp. You've got a ramp and then it's on gravel, which is terrible. We're bringing it up. We should be meeting with Eric Estes and also with Trong, the lead of space. It's, if you speak to your off departmental managers, it's not just a grad student, it's like something is happening in terms if I'm not communicating well with the facilities management. Our building was identified with 17 broken windows in September. They're not fixed. And we also still have asbestos. So we're trying to work on it. We are going to put on more pressure, absolutely. So we've got that noted and we'll take that forward as well. Also, I know that Masters from the SPH brought up Regalia, and we're going to be talking again with the graduate school about the cost of it. We're going to keep on trying. We're going to keep on trying. Any questions from online?
Have you filled up the facility form and then?
Our building is actually like thoughtfully that in gradual round, but that's something that's so I wonder if Carol or Carol.
Where is Carol? Carol is present right now.
I'm right here. Well, yeah, I love it. You have to
It's a mixed problem of it's not the worker's fault. What it is it's the structure. In terms of last semester, I was teaching a classroom, had a broken chair, a table, and I had every students had to sit at a broken water table. They just the system, it's all bureaucratic from the state at this point. So we're trying to work with that. We'll try and push forward and see what's what, but we'll bring it up again. Okay. If there's nothing else, can I have a motion to close the meeting? Second. Voting for? Voting against? Let's say absconded, abstention. I'm having a mental break. Right, fantastic. We finished 5 minutes early. That is the way. Thank you very much. If you have any questions or want to sign up and talk to us, we will all be going to the GCB afterwards if you want to grab a pint. Thank you so much. Thank you everybody online. See you in a month.